Linda Writes for Kids, and today we're going to do an overview of graphic novels. Graphic novels took the publishing world by storm. It started, I don't even know when, 15 years ago, when they really started to get a foothold. Basically, graphic novels are sort of like a comic book on steroids. So they're full-on novels, but they tend to be drawn in panels. They have tiny, tiny little word bubbles in there. They're not really that tiny, but they look like it on screen. So they've got the little word bubbles like comic books do, and they are very, very visual in format, in tone. Here's a little box down here that has narrative in it, just straight up narrative instead of dialogue. So they're very dialogue driven in general, because that's mostly what is happening, is the people doing things and speaking to each other. So they're very, very visual. They are, like I said, they're kind of dialogue driven to a large extent. Action is shown instead of narrated, and that's really different for writers. There is some narrative, though, that goes into them when narrative is needed to explain something, or to, cut the scenes down. Instead of showing somebody going home, it might say, Sam, walked home. That would be written better than that. But anyway, so they're a really different form of writing. These are for ages 7 and up into the adult book market. So grades 2 and up. So the word count is going to vary on these widely as the genre is. Everything about these is really a different sort of process in the publishing market. So it's just a really interesting new format in kids' books. I've been fascinated with graphic novels for a while, and I go into schools as a visiting author, and I started asking kids, what do you like about graphic novels? And one of the things that came out was that a lot of kids have trouble tracking across the pages they read. You'll see kids, using their fingers to keep their place. They lose their place easily. They have less trouble with that in a graphic novel. So that's one thing that is appealing. The other thing is, I just feel like these kids are growing up in this digital age where so much content of all sorts is visual, even YouTube channels. Instead of just reading about the subject matter, we're looking at it. And I think these kids are very, very visual because of that. And so these books have that sort of appeal to them in paper form. So I think these kids are very visual. I think it's kind of a natural step to see these take off. Now, some graphic novels are what I would refer to as a hybrid. So they have some straight up prose, and then they also have the pictures that move the story along. In this particular book, this is Invisible Emmy. And in this book, there are some panels, some pages, let me find them, okay, that look more comic book like this, and then others have like the little spot illustrations and prose written in them. So I think of this as more of a hybrid form, whereas Cece's journal, I think in general, is much more comic book style, so much more graphic driven than prose driven. So I think of this as a straight up graphic novel, and this is a graphic novel, but I would still call it a hybrid novel. So these are fascinating books, and I have some experience as a comic book writer, and so I've taken that the next step to graphic novel writing. And so sometime we'll talk about how you format those and how they're illustrated, and there are a lot of differences in graphic novels from the regular publishing market, and we'll dive deeper into that. This is just a general overview. So I hope it's helpful. If so, if you would give me a thumbs up, that would be great. Hit the subscribe button and the bell, and that will let you know when I'm publishing more content for you. Please leave me comments below so that I can get to know who you are and find out what you're interested in learning from me, what you like in my videos, what you could use more of, or what is missing for you. I would love to get to know you more. So do all those things for me. I'd be most appreciative. And until next time, Happy writing.